Have you ever faced a wall that felt impossible to bring down? A situation so big, so intimidating you thought, there's no way out of this? Welcome to Echoes from the Past. Today, we're going back thousands of years to a city with walls so thick, people said it could never fall. But it did, not with swords or battering rams or war machines. It fell with obedience. It fell with faith. This is the story of Jericho. The people of Israel had just spent 40 long years in the desert. They were tired. They were ready for a home. Their old leader, Moses, had passed on. Now, a young and brave leader named Joshua had taken his place. Joshua was strong, but he was also nervous. He had big shoes to fill. But then, something powerful happened. God spoke to him directly.
Be strong. Be courageous. I will be with you just as I was with Moses.
With those words ringing in his ears, Joshua set out with the people of Israel to finally take the land God had promised them. But there was one big problem in their way: Jericho. Jericho wasn't just any city. It was a fortress. Huge stone walls surrounded it. No one went in. No one came out. It was locked up tight, especially after word got out that the Israelites were nearby. To the people of Israel, it looked impossible. But to God, it was just another opportunity to show what He could do. There comes a time in every journey when the next step seems impossible. You've walked for miles, trusted through storms, survived the wilderness, and then, right in front of you, is a wall. That's exactly where the people of Israel were. They had finally reached the edge of the promised land after 40 long years in the wilderness. And there it was, the mighty city of Jericho, strong, fortified, shut tight. But God had promised them this land, and Joshua, their new leader after Moses, he believed. Joshua knew he couldn't just rush in. He needed to understand what they were up against. So, like a wise and thoughtful leader, he decided to send 2 trusted men to secretly spy out the land, especially the city of Jericho. These weren't just any men. They were brave, faithful, alert. They set out under the cover of night, crossing the Jordan River and heading straight toward Jericho, one of the most heavily fortified cities in the region. Stone walls surrounded Jericho. Guards watched the gates. No one came in or out without being seen. But somehow, the 2 spies made it inside, and they found shelter in the most unexpected of places, the home of a woman named Rahab. Rahab was not a noble woman. She wasn't wealthy. In fact, she was known in town as a prostitute. But don't let that title fool you. Rahab was smart, courageous, and as we'll see, she feared the God of Israel more than the king of Jericho. She welcomed the spies into her home. She knew they were Israelites, and she knew what it meant. The people of Jericho had already heard what the Israelites' God had done, how He parted the Red Sea, how He defeated powerful kings. Their hearts were melting in fear. Even Jericho's mighty walls couldn't protect against a God like that. But word got out. The king was told that Israelite spies had entered the city, and worse, that they were hiding in Rahab's house. Immediately, he sent soldiers to her door. "Bring out the men who came to you. They're spies," the soldiers shouted. "Yes, some men did come to me, but I didn't know who they were. They left at dusk before the gate closed. If you hurry, you might catch them." Rahab responded. It was a bold lie, risky, but it saved the spies' lives. The soldiers ran off in the direction Rahab pointed, and the city gates were shut behind them. "I know the Lord has given you this land. We've heard what He did at the Red Sea and how you defeated kings. Everyone here is terrified. Your God, He is God in heaven above and on the earth below." Rahab told the spies, imagine that. A woman from a pagan city, acknowledging the power of Israel's God. That's faith. Then she made a simple yet powerful request. Please swear to me by your God that because I've shown kindness to you, you'll show kindness to my family. Spare us when you take this city. Rahab requested. The spies looked at her, grateful, moved, and certain that this woman was part of something much bigger than she knew. We promise, our lives for yours. When we return, tie a scarlet rope in your window. Bring your family into your house, and no one inside will be harmed, said one of the spies. Her house was actually built into the city wall. From her window, she lowered them down by a rope into the night. They told her to wait patiently and that their people would come soon. Then they disappeared into the hills, staying hidden for 3 days until the soldiers gave up their search. Finally, the 2 spies returned to Joshua. They were alive. They had seen the city, but more than that, they had seen how God was already working inside Jericho. The Lord has surely given us the land, God. The people are terrified because of us. The spies told Joshua and the Israelites. This was more than a military report. It was confirmation. God was paving the way. Even in enemy territory, hearts were being prepared. Faith was already taking root in the unlikeliest of places, gave Joshua instructions, and they were strange.
March around the city once a day for 6 days. Take the priests. Have them carry the Ark of the Covenant. Let them blow trumpets. But no one else should say a word.
God told Joshua to march around the city 7 times, and then blow the trumpets, shout, and the walls, they'd fall. Wait, that's it? Now imagine being an Israelite soldier. You're in armor, sword in hand, ready for battle. But instead of storming the city, your leader tells you, just walk. Quietly. Once around the walls, don't talk, just follow the priests. Day 1, you march. Day 2, you march. Day 3, 4, 5, 6, you march. Still no talking, still no shouting, just the sound of footsteps and the haunting sound of trumpets echoing against the walls. What must the people inside Jericho have thought? They watched from behind their walls, mocking, nervous, confused. And what about the Israelites? Did they doubt? Did they wonder, why are we doing this? Sometimes faith looks like foolishness until it works. Then came the 7th day. This time, they didn't march once. They marched 7 times, around and around and around. Then Joshua gave the signal. Shout, for the Lord has given you the city. The trumpets blared. The people shouted with all their strength. And suddenly, crack, boom, crash. The mighty walls of Jericho shook, split, and collapsed to the ground. Just like that, the people of Israel rushed in. Jericho was theirs, without even lifting a sword. But there's one more part of this story. Before the attack, Joshua had sent 2 spies into Jericho. They were hidden by a woman named Rahab, a woman with a rough past, but a brave heart. She believed in the God of Israel, and they did. When the walls fell, Rahab and her family were spared. Her act of courage, her faith in a God she didn't fully know yet, saved her life. She would even go on to become one of the ancestors of Yeshua. So, what's the point of this story? It's not just about walls and battles. It's about faith. It's about trusting when the plan doesn't make sense. It's about obedience, even when others laugh. It's about a God who keeps his promises, who fights for his people, and who uses the humble and the unlikely, like Joshua, like Rahab, to do amazing things. Jericho may be long gone, but the walls in our lives, the fears, the doubts, the things that look impossible, they still fall when we walk in faith. Rahab wasn't a warrior. She didn't have power or status, but she had faith, and that changed everything. Sometimes, faith means taking a risk, standing up, hiding spies, telling the truth, even when it costs something. And like Rahab, when we choose to believe, we become part of a bigger story. one that echoes far beyond our walls. Thanks for joining us on Echoes from the Past. If this story moved you, share it, like it, subscribe for more stories that speak from history and still echo in our lives today. And remember, sometimes the greatest victories come not from fighting, but from faith.